Speaking of Chicago Public Schools, there's been a lot of news that relates to that today, some reaction.
Yeah, and Mayor Johnson, that's a big issue for him, of course, pinning a lot of what he talks about in education. Paris Schutz, while Marianne was with the mayor, you were out and about talking to everybody about this budget gap and what the city is going to do about it.
Well, the mayor and his close ally, CTU President Stacey Davis Gates, and some of their allies on the school board are all in agreement. They think the problem starts and ends in Springfield, and they're tying the mega projects bill to education funding. Today, the message was no money for billion-dollar stadiums, but money for public schools. And they say that the state capitol has to come to the rescue.
The budget, as announced yesterday, is unsatisfactory and dead on arrival.
Chicago Teachers Union President Stacey Davis Gates giving CPS officials and Board of Education members an earful about yesterday's proposed $10 billion budget. It comes with a $732 million deficit and includes average 4 to 5% teacher raises. The CTU does not have control over the budgeting process, but the politically influential Davis Gates warns teachers better not be on the chopping block.
How do you have school without teachers? How do you have clean schools without custodial staff? How do you have classrooms that work without assistants? How do you have school without the necessary supervisory staff in the building? How do you have it without recess monitors? How do you have school? That's what you have to ask Springfield.
And some CTU-aligned board members point in one direction for the answer: Springfield. They echo the mayor's claim that the state is shorting CPS nearly $2 billion. And they say the focus on a Bears megaprojects bill will cost education.
We cannot allow megaprojects to destroy public education. We cannot tell our children, no, we do not have enough for you because we are building a beautiful new stadium.
But does the state really owe CPS billions more? The answer is complicated, says Civic Federation President Joe Ferguson. Yes, a state-backed funding formula says CPS and all districts should get more, but the goal is to get there eventually, as it would be too costly right now.
So the price tag is actually upwards of $4 to $5 billion that is needed like that. That is not politically feasible. It's not legally enforceable. And so this is really pipe dream stuff, and that has to be placed in the context of the larger challenges both the state has and that CPS has.
And Ferguson says he believes CPS can close this year's deficit without cutting teachers, but says the big trouble is going to come in future years as we've seen declining enrollment in this school system. By CPS's own numbers, they're down 45,000 students since 2019, but up 10,000 or nearly 10,000 staff members that they've hired in that time. You talk about some under-enrolled schools. I know that's a very, very difficult conversation, but one that Ferguson and others believe is going to have to start to happen eventually.
So a big problem that seems like it's going to get worse.
This is a structural problem with CPS. This is why it feels like deja vu, because they have this structural deficit every single year.
All right. Well, thanks for staying on top of it, Paris. We appreciate it.
Thanks.